Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, so someone will probably make one up for us. I don't want to name any. Rachel. I hope it's Rachel that does that for the podcast.
Yeah, we're back. We're back in the tiny room.
Yeah,
the tiny room.
It's so warm today.
It's so warm.
It's the tiny sauna today.
The tiny room today has so many half-drunk glasses of water. It looks like we're 3/4 of the way through the movie Signs.
That's a terrible reference.
It's a great reference.
It's a terrible reference.
It's pre-racist Mel Gibson.
Pre-racist Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is back in a big way.
Still racist?
No, he's still, I would imagine, once a racist, always a racist. I don't think there's like conversion therapy for racism. But, not that conversion therapy works. Don't support that crap. So, moving on from there. No, he's back in a big way. I just saw the trailer for Stepdads 2.
What's that now?
Marky Mark. And Will Ferrell.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, Marky Mark.
He's back.
He's back. But his dad is played by Mel Gibson.
Oh no.
His father. Yeah, so Mel Gibson
He's
is
Robert
like
De Niro.
Back.
He's entered the Robert De Niro
phase
just of Hollywood actors.
Give me what you got.
Well, that's amazing.
Give me what you got.
Ben, we haven't had any tweets whatsoever this week.
That's disheartening.
But, luckily, we've put our heads together and come up with something to talk about all by ourselves.
Have we?
Because we're big boys.
Are we?
Yes.
Oh.
Thor!
It's news to me. Oh, yes! Yes, this is totally planned.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Thor. Since we, we were on the whole talking about mythology last week, and then you said a very interesting thing. I don't know if you remember the very interesting thing you said.
I blocked this out once we're finished recording.
And why wouldn't you? Remember you were saying that Wonder Woman...
Wonder Woman!
Thanks.
Can't help it.
Do the theme music, the new theme music, how did that go? It's not too bad.
I can't hit those notes. It's a little bit of a trying task for me.
So, you said an interesting thing. You said, what with Wonder Woman's origin being from the gods...
Greek!
Yeah, she's a Greek god. She's definitely a god.
She is.
She's not an advanced alien pretending to be a god, or an advanced alien whose society have misunderstood to be gods.
But we know someone who is.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, or Ben. Or is he?
Well, I mean, this is the thing.
Isn't it?
Michael, I mean, there's a whole stack of stuff going on.
About 55 minutes worth?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
With a bit of extra professionalism.
I live in hope. We might get there. I live in hope.
So, let's get straight into it. Let's just talk about Thor. Ben, who even was Thor?
Who even was Thor?
Original Thor, I mean.
Origithor. Origithor!
That's bad.
It is not an erectile dysfunction medication as it sounds. But original Thor, or Thor 1.0. Actually, you know what? There's a much easier way of describing this, because there are a lot of different Thors mentioned in this episode. The first Thor that we're going to talk about is Edda Thor. Okay?
Oh, Eddie.
Eddie Thor. Yeah, why not? Eddie Thor. Eddie Thor because he comes from the original Norse Edda. Okay, so Scandinavian mythology, Norse mythology. Basically, if it's cold and there's a lot of darkness in the winter and a ton of sunlight in the summer, it's Norse. Okay, that's kind of how it works. And Thor was one of the original gods of Norse mythology. So he belonged to the Norse pantheon of gods. And he was known as Thor the Thunderer, and he was the god of thunder.
And handsomeness.
And no, there was another god for handsomeness.
Oh, damn it.
I'm afraid. Sorry. Balder was the most handsome of the gods.
Oh.
And favoured son of Odin.
Oh. Knowing wink.
Wink, wink. Wink, wink. But we'll get to that later. It belongs on a certain show, don't we?
Yeah, no spoilers.
No spoilers. Sorry.
So only spoilers for the movie Signs.
Signs. That's a lot.
Water. The aliens are allergic to water, as it turns out, and Mel Gibson's daughter has been leaving.
Oh my God! What if you?
What
have you done? You've ruined Signs for a whole new generation. Well, you've ruined Signs for about 6 people.
M. Night Shyamalan ruined Signs.
Shyamalan. We've had this debate before.
It's Shyamalan.
It probably is Shyamalan.
Talk about Thor again.
So, Thor again. Back to Thor. Thor is...
You're back as Thor. Ben's back as Thor, everybody.
Thor is the god of thunder within that, and he's also the protector of the gods.
The protector of the gods.
Of the gods. He is the hammer of the gods, quite literally, because he he wields that wonderful hammer of his. Mjolnir, which is how that's... Or Mjolnir. Okay, so I am not Scandinavian.
No, he's not.
Nor was I around when the original Edda was used in mythology.
Allegedly.
So my pronunciation could be atrocious.
Oh, Ben, I forgot to tell you. We're actually sponsored this week. We're sponsored by the concept of mispronouncing Norse names.
And that's exactly why I'm doing it. Ding, ding, ding. It was all part of the plan.
It's a paid advertisement.
Paid advertisement. If you would like to sponsor the podcast, for example...
if you are an abstract concept.
If you are an abstract concept, perhaps similar sounding words with different meanings, or words that begin with the same letter to cause an effect that makes them sound like the word that they are, please go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Let us know at our fictional email address.
No, it's real.
abstractconceptsponsorship@gmail.com. So yeah. Anyway, there's a whole cast of characters, and most people who are listening to this will know this cast of characters because they are familiar with superhero Thor from Marvel Comics. So you have Odin, the All-Father.
I know him.
Wise and all-knowing. One eye.
Yeah.
So cool.
Does he have any... stop me if I'm stepping on a bit here.
No,
does he have any days named after him?
He does. He does. He has the day Wednesday.
Nice.
Wednesday, to people who actually pronounce things properly. Wednesday. Thor has his day after him as well. It's Thursday. Thor's Day.
Hold on.
Oh.
I have a thing. Do you want to hear an interesting thing? Again, stop me if I'm stepping on a bit. So Thursday is named after Thor or Jupiter,
depending on
in most kind of European languages, right? Except Portuguese.
Okay.
Where it's called Fifth Day because it's Latin, and the Latins didn't like naming things after heathen gods.
Well, you wouldn't.
Right? And Iceland.
What?
I know!
But Iceland belongs in the Norse canon.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that's weird.
They call it Fifth Day as well.
Dicks.
Take it so personally.
No. Had a whole thing about how it was Norse mythology, and then Finland goes and changes the name.
Iceland.
Iceland goes and changes the name.
Isn't that weird though? That
Am I racist towards Scandinavian countries? Do I think all Scandinavian countries are the same?
I think so.
Oh God.
I don't even know if Finland is Scandinavian.
God. It is. No, I think
is it?
I think it's there.
What
yeah,
is?
no, I think it is because there's. I'll get to that in a sec. I'll explain.
Keep talking about
anyway,
Thor.
Sorry. We have Odin, who is the High Father of the gods in that particular pantheon.
Yeah.
We have his half... Now, it depends on which part of the Edda you read. It's either his half-brother or simply someone who shares the court with them. Loki, who is the god of mischief and lies and all the wonderful stuff. Mick wants to be him desperately.
I do.
Who wouldn't? And then you have a host of other characters that you'll know all about. We have Tyr, who is the god of war for them. We had Freya, who was the god of harvest and nature, I think. We had Sif, who was Thor's wife.
Spoilers!
Sorry. And we had lots of things. And anyway, this whole pantheon was made up, and when they were originally in the Edda, they're called the Aesir.
Why is this little red light on?
Because it's recording.
Oh, is that what that means?
It's active.
The microphone's pointing the opposite way.
We've switched it up because I'm an egalitarian podcast co-host and wanted all things to be fair. So this week, the little red light is pointing towards Mick, and it's making him nervous.
It is. I don't like it.
He's getting 2001: A Space Odyssey flashbacks.
My cat instincts are making me want to paw at it.
His PTSD is kicking in. No, Michael, I can't do that.
What were you saying?
Sorry. They're called the Aesir. 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 And they are one half of the gods that make up the Norse canon of gods. The other are the Vanir. And the Vanir were a much gentler version of the gods. Freya actually belongs to the Vanir. And they cohabitate after a long period of war where they were very evenly matched. And then they signed a treaty, and now they all live in Asgard together.
I like how you said cohabitate, like they all live in a student flat share.
Real life Asgard.
I think
9 strangers.
Isn't there an Australian or a New Zealand TV show about... Have I stepped on a bit?
Yeah, there is. It's I have watched that entire series. I quite like that series.
Oh, really?
It's
The Johnsons.
the Johnsons. The Almighty Johnsons.
Is that right?
What that's
That
called.
was a complete guess.
That's pretty good though. The Almighty Johnsons.
Is that what it's called?
Is what it's called. It's set in
That's
New
incredible.
Zealand. It's set in New Zealand, and it's about a bunch of reincarnated deities, and they love it. They think it's fantastic. So yeah,
Take that, New Zealand.
take that. It's actually a really good series.
So they live together.
So they all live together and they cohabitate, and they rule. They are pretty much the most powerful beings in the 9 realms. The 9 realms are the 9 different worlds within Norse mythology. So the main ones are Asgard. Then there's Midgard. That's us.
That's where we live.
We're Midgard. That's our realm.
That's where the sweaty room is.
It's where the mere mortals are, and the podcast room with melting action figures. with the high heat.
warm.
I hope you notice that I say action figures now and that I don't call them dolls.
Yes,
anymore.
or figurines.
Or figurines.
Victory! Small victories.
Unless he pisses me off. In which case, they're all figurines. He's a grown man playing with figurines.
So go on, there's 7 more, name them
There's
now.
7 more. There's Nephilim, which is kind of like a prison planet, or the Phantom Zone in Superman, if you're into that kind
Or
of thing.
Australia.
Or Australia. Prison colony. Love you, Australia. And you too, New Zealand. It seemed.
The appendix of Australia.
If Australia would like to sponsor the podcast, we'd be more than happy to take that on board. There's Jotunheim, which is the home of the Frost Giants and the Giants.
Yeah, they're in the
Jotunheim.
movies.
They're another one.
So I know who they are.
There is Muspelheim, which is the burning planet.
That sounds great.
And that's ruled over by one person with a giant flaming sword. And
Nice.
he is waiting for his opportunity to come down during Ragnarok.
There's a big flaming sword in the Ragnarok trailer.
Could be him.
Uh-oh.
Could be him. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway,
Searcher.
he's just... That's exactly who it is. Thank you very much, Michael.
You see, I'm just feigning ignorance.
Suitor, I know, it's feigned ignorance. It's because we want to include you and make you feel like it's for everyone. Suitor is the man who carries the large sword, and he is waiting for the day of Ragnarok, so he can come down and burn the earth and all within it.
Yeah, well, today, possibly.
Today, because it's very warm here in Dublin City.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I can't remember the other ones. But they're different realms inhabited by different creatures.
Svartalheim.
Svartalheim, is that dwarves? Is dwarves
Yeah,
Svartalheim?
yeah.
Or is it the light elves?
It's... the light elves are... Oh,
Alfheim or something like that. That's where the light elves live, and there's a place where the dark elves live.
I thought that was Muspelheim.
Is that Muspelheim?
Isn't it?
I don't
I'm
know.
confused now.
It's fair. Anyway, we'll include a handy graphic in the thing that shows you the 9 different realms.
Yeah.
But the most powerful, the most cunning, the most beloved, and the most noble of all these different races are the gods who exist in Asgard.
Mm-hmm. Asgard.
And since they have so many enemies from outside, and all their enemies are quite primal compared to them, they're very civil and noble. And all their other enemies, frost giants, ogres, dark elves,
Trolls.
even the light elves live in servitude to the gods. They're much more primitive.
This is a bit borderline racist.
Oh, it is, absolutely. You can see. Well, I'm not going to go there, but
Leave it out. Leave it out.
Well, we'll see. We'll get to it. Anyway, so all of these, some of them don't like the gods.
Some of these races.
And yeah, they occasionally try to take on Asgard and take it for themselves. They often try to steal from the gods. But luckily, they have a protector.
Who?
He's large. He's exceptionally strong.
Me!
He has a red... No. Now, Mick denies that he has a red beard, but he
No,
has
I don't.
a red beard.
I have a red beard.
He has
I
a
don't
red
have red
beard.
hair.
Well, so does this guy. Very large red beard.
See?
Tons of hair.
Yeah. Oh.
He carries around a hammer.
Yes.
He's got a belt of strength.
Yes.
He's
Dave.
got 2 goats to pull a chariot through the sky. It's bam, 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 bam. Thor. Thor is the protector of the gods. And he uses his hammer, which can smash anything with one hit. It can destroy anything it touches.
Oh, really?
Well, the original Mjolnir can do this. So there's quite a few differences between the comic book and the rest. But anyway, that is the original Thor. He comes from the Edda, which was put together by a guy called Snorri Sturluson, and I'm not even kidding.
That's fake.
No.
Made up name.
It's actually the guy's name.
That's the madest up
Snorri
name
Sturluson.
I've ever heard.
And he put together and the Edda, and that's how we know this. Unfortunately, a lot of the Edda is incomplete, so there are thousands of stories that we no longer have.
Aw.
The mythology itself is quite interesting in comparison with other mythologies, because if you look at Greek mythology or Roman mythology, it's very... The gods are without flaw. Mm-hmm. They are perfect beings who have a right to do whatever they choose.
Like Superman.
Similar, but I don't think Superman was ever a rapist in the same way that Zeus is a rapist.
But you know, raping in Norse gods?
Very little.
Oh, that's good.
Very little.
That's positive.
They don't really mess with mortals in the same way. Like Zeus loved to nip off as a swan or a bull, and he'd spot some young one and... Well, he'd go about and do what rapists do to people. And everyone was like, well...
It's dark now.
Who else but Zeus?
Classic Zeus.
Classic Zeus. Oh, Zeus.
Zeus, the old character.
Raping people.
I heard Zeus is playing a character in Step Brothers 2. He's going to be someone's dad. Something. No, that's Mel Gibson. I haven't meant to imply that Mel Gibson's a racist. I just mean that once someone does something bad, they enter that phase of their career.
I didn't say that.
Carry on.
I didn't say that. That was not me.
So Ben, how did Thor then, this Thor that you're talking about, this flaming bearded handsome man, how did he end up in the comic books?
Sorry, just to finish my last point, the nice thing about the Norse mythology is they're quite flawed as characters. They make mistakes and they're kind of humorous and things like that, so it makes them a much nicer character to read. How he ended up in the Marvel Universe was in 1962. Nice. So I want you to cast your mind back to 1962, swinging 60s. There's one man, well, there's two men, three men technically, who are running things over at Marvel Comics, and that is Stan Lee.
It's Ben's famous Stan Lee impression.
Jack Kirby, and I think Larry Lieber is the name, though that could end up in a retraction for next week.
Is he Stan Lee's brother?
He is Stan Lee's brother, yes.
Isn't it Larry Lieber and Stanley Lieber?
Stan Lee changed his name. Larry Lieber did not.
I think it's Larry.
Stan Lee went for the less Jewish sounding name to stop any kind of racism towards his...
Is that why he did it?
Yeah, it became a business name technique. A lot of people did that back in the day. They would take the Jewish part of their name.
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, weird, right? Sheen.
No, wait. Was Estevez his real name? I think Estevez is Martin Sheen's real name.
Oh, is it? Martin Estevez?
Martino Estevez?
Martin
Estevez? I think so. Charlie Sheen is...
We're definitely going to get taken off iTunes at some point for racial profiling. Just ridiculous. Now we're talking about Norse mythology. There's a couple of connotations going on. It's not going to go very well. I'm blonde. Like, this isn't going to end well. Anyway, he ended up there in 1962 because Stan Lee needed to make new superheroes. So he went looking through and he found the almighty Thor. But Jack Kirby took some serious liberties with Thor.
Creative decisions, you mean?
Liberties.
Right.
I chose correctly. But it's okay because Jack Kirby is the founding father of most aesthetics for a lot of superheroes, so we can't really knock him. Kirby Crackle and all that.
Hold on, what's Kirby Crackle?
The Kirby Crackle is an art style that is distinctly belonging to Jack Kirby. It is the tiny little bubbles of black and white that you see around any kind of cosmic energy. And it's known as the cosmic ray effect, or the Kirby Crackle.
That's cool.
Is what it's called.
That was really prominent in a game I played in the late 90s.
Oh, really?
Late 90s, yeah. It was called Freedom Force. It was nothing to do with Jack Kirby, but it was a kind of...
Was that the one with the Minuteman?
Yes!
I remember Freedom Force.
Freedom Force is amazing.
I remember Freedom Force.
Oh, Ben, I don't play video games.
I can't remember the chant, though. Do you remember what he used to say? He used to have a ridiculous phrase.
Minutemen, ho! Presumably.
Yeah, maybe it was that.
I don't think it was. That was good, though, but they were all, like, Kirby-esque characters in that.
They were all in that style of Golden Age kind of
Man-Bot was Iron Man.
Yeah.
The Alchemist was Scarlet Witch.
Yeah,
I'm pretty good at remembering. As
you are pretty good at remembering.
El Diablo was
the Human
Torch.
Yeah.
The Ant was Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. The Ant was Ant-Man, surely.
No, he was Spider-Man.
Oh really?
Yeah. Well, he was a bit of both. He was a teen.
Little hybrid.
He was a teen who needed responsibility. Why are we talking about this? This is nothing to do with Thor.
Anyway. moving backwards. So Thor came to the comics. He became a flagship character for Marvel. He did really, really well, and people really responded quite well to.
Is he Marvel's Superman?
I think he certainly was an attempt at a Marvel, like an infallible character who just could kind of just go about and had to restrain himself living in a world of paper. That's a direct quote from one of those movies. I think it's
the final episode of Justice League Unlimited where he
Yes, I live in a world of paper. And I love that episode.
One of the best episodes of
It's
cartoons.
so good. For those of you that don't know it, Superman versus Darkseid.
Darkseid and Brainiac.
It's the combo. Yeah, that Lex Luthor has unleashed into Metropolis.
That's a three-way.
It's so good. And Superman just lets loose, and he gives this awesome monologue about how he lives in a world of paper and how he always has to watch what he do. And you've given me a rare opportunity to cut loose. And I think he calls him Big Man, which I really love, because it's the most Kansas Midwestern thing I've ever heard. They never give him a Midwestern accent, but they really should.
That's a good point.
They really should. Like, he grew up in the Midwest.
Yeah, they never have a bit of corn sticking out of his mouth.
Like, he's like a cowboy.
Yeah,
Kansas.
that's a good point. But then how long has he been in Metropolis? Why are we talking about Superman now?
Sorry.
This is the most off-topic podcast we've ever done.
We need more news items, so we don't do this from now on.
Okay, back to Thor.
Back to Thor. Sorry. So, his original adventures are very case of the week, procedural kind of things.
Okay, like all comics were.
Some force from Asgard escapes, or Loki quite often was made the main antagonist of the series. In the comics, he is directly Thor's brother. He and Thor are brothers.
Not even adoptive.
No, in the original run, they're brothers.
Oh, really?
It's his evil brother.
Did Odin impregnate a frost lady?
He didn't. What actually happened was, when Odin went on an elk killing spree to Jotunheim, he found Loki.
Oh, he just found him?
He found him.
Right.
And took him back, I think.
Well, then they're adoptive brothers.
Yes, but he's not Odin's son. He, in the original Edda, if we go back to the original mythology, he's Odin's blood brother.
Who?
Loki. They made a pact.
Oh.
And no harm could come to Loki by Odin's hand.
So he's kind of Thor's blood uncle.
Yeah, in a weird way. But anyway, not as complicated in the comics. Brothers, half-brothers, whichever way you want to look at it.
So hold on. Did Odin impregnated a frost giantess? Which for me,
I can neither confirm nor deny whether that happened, because I simply don't know.
A giantess for me is any woman over 5'10". Any woman.
Quite a few giantesses running around.
Any woman taller than me,
Gal
I think
Gadot
is Gal Gadot taller than me?
She's quite tall.
No, she's off the list.
She's quite. I don't think she'd care.
She's probably somewhere now, bitterly disappointed.
She just heard. She was actually outside the door. She was just about to come in.
She was on her way.
In her trench coat.
Sorry,
with
Gal.
nothing on underneath.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. Well, I have no height limit.
Well, there was a pregnant pause. What?
There, but for the grace of God.
What were we saying? Yes.
So case of the week procedural. Loki would unleash something on Midgard. Within the comics, he is the protector of Midgard as well.
Loki?
No. Sorry, Thor is the protector of Midgard. He came once upon an adventure to Midgard. He fell in love with Jane Foster. Jane Foster. Natalie Portman in the films. Yeah. You don't know. And ever since then, he pledged to defend Midgard against the evils of the other realms.
Now, Ben, I know this isn't planned, but I have two questions for you.
Sure.
Do you want to hear the two questions and then answer them, or do you want to hear one and then answer that?
Which would you prefer?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it properly.
Let's do two, and I'll answer whichever one is most suitable to my narrative.
Okay, I think both of them will be. First of all, secret identity. Does he have one?
He does. So, in the original comics,
right,
Thor is summoned in a very unusual way. Donald Blake, thank you. Dr. Donald Blake was a mild-mannered doctor who had a bit of a limp.
But he had a wanky leg.
He had a wonky leg.
I said wanky
leg. A wanky leg is something else. You have to pay a woman in Mexico quite a lot of money to get one of those.
Oh no. That's both off-colour and a bit racist.
No, it's a Norse woman working in Mexico. It's not that racist.
Go on.
Only women from Iceland working in Mexico know what a wanky leg actually is.
Donald Blake.
Donald Blake. Dr. Donald Blake. Give the man his full title. He studied for years to be a doctor of medicine, for God's sake. So originally it was very soap opera. Dr. Donald Blake was in love with nurse Jane Foster.
Yeah. She's a nurse because she's a lady.
She's a nurse because she's a lady, and it's the 60s, and ladies belong in the kitchen. But yeah, in actual fact, that much later gets changed. She's now a doctor in the main Marvel universe. Good job. Yay.
She's also...
Well, we'll get to that, Michael. You settle down.
Okay,
This
sorry.
is volume 1. We're on volume 1.
Right.
Jesus, Michael.
Sorry.
So, we're on volume 1. And he's in love with her. He finds a stick to help him with his limp. Turns out when you tap the stick on the ground, you can summon Thor.
Summon him.
Yeah, he's summoned. Because all superheroes back in the day had to have a secret identity.
Yeah.
To add that little bit of tension.
Stanley.
That little bit of Excelsior! It's not a superhero if he can't go and do a day job.
Yeah, maybe Stanley's life was just really boring.
Maybe.
So,
Maybe.
So, are they one and the same person, or?
Well, I think, generally speaking, the stick was used as kind of a foil. Because you can't have a god with flaws. So what they did was, basically, when he lost Mjolnir, when Mjolnir was taken away from him, the staff would turn back into a staff, or a wooden stick.
A stick, yeah.
And if Donald Blake didn't have the stick...
An old bit of a stick.
An old bit of a stick. Not unlike a shillelagh. Not unlike one of those wonderful sticks that we find here in the heartland.
Did Black Tom ever get his hand on the stick? Probably
Oh,
not.
that'd be lethal.
That would be
control wood.
interesting. So,
yes, and it was used as a foil. So basically, whenever you wanted a bit of plot tension, Mjolnir would vanish, turn back into the stick, and Donald Blake would be the lad with the gimpy leg.
I've got a sore leg and I'm
curses!
fighting with the Wrecking Crew.
A troll.
A
The
troll.
Wrecking Crew. The Wrecking Crew, that's a nice reference. There's a
Thanks.
series of villains in the thing that use construction tools as weapons. They're all enchanted for some reason. I never got into that.
No, it's the leader guy. He has a crowbar, and his crowbar is enchanted.
Yeah.
Similarly to Thor's hammer.
Yeah, he can throw it and
When it comes back, just a lump of crowbar. And there's construction workers everywhere listening to this going, it's a pry bar, not a crowbar.
Well, not in 1962 it wasn't.
And then he can transfer some of that power to the other guy's weapons.
Are you kidding?
But it's the crowbar basically powers all of them. Or the pry bar.
I'd say it was probably Loki. Did Loki enchant the pry bar?
I can't remember.
Pry pro bar?
Men misremembering things. So, can I hit you with my second question?
Second question. Hit me with your best shot. Yeah.
What was the second question? I completely forgot.
I don't know.
What were we talking about? Donald Blake, Donald Blake. No,
Dr. Donald Blake.
Yeah. No, hold on. You still haven't satisfactorily answered.
Sorry.
Are they one person or are they two people?
In Volume 1, they are not one and the same. When Donald Blake is not around, Thor is in control. Thor is... Donald Blake becomes an avatar for a shard of the actual god Thor's power on Earth. Okay? So it's not full Thor. It is... He is imbued with an aspect of Thor.
Okay.
So he's not full god mode.
Oh.
Okay? He's imbued with an aspect of Thor. And this is played around with, I think at one point he finally becomes full Thor at some point, and he becomes the Thunderer Thor.
Okay.
But they are not one and the same in Volume 1 of... not one and the same in Volume 1 in 1962.
Here's the other question, which I've now remembered. Are they gods or not gods?
Oh, God! So...
I see what you've done there.
So...
Nice bit of work.
It is almost impossible to tell in Marvel's new universe. In Marvel's new universe, what is what?
Okay.
So in Volume 1 of Thor, they are very much the gods of old.
Magic.
Okay, they're magic, completely magic. Loki's powers come from the fact that he is a sorcerer. Thor does not use sorcery. He thinks it's beneath people, and it's all magic based. Okay, now this gets a little bit more confusing, and I'm just going to jump ahead quite a bit. Okay. So, if we take the modern arcs of Thor, and the one that I like to use the most, and the one I will be using for this, is 2013's Jason Aaron run on Thor, which was called Thor, God of Thunder. Okay? And in this one as well, he is a god. Okay?
No messing about.
It's not an alien race. He is a god.
Oh.
Okay?
Interesting, but that was after the Thor movie.
It was after the Thor movie. In the Thor movie,
What you call God magic,
Yeah.
we call science.
Kenneth Branagh decided to take away the god. He made them speak like Shakespeare, but he also made them into aliens. Aliens.
You say
It was
aliens?
on purpose.
Okay,
Yeah, it was on purpose. Don't worry. Aliens, and they are just technologically hyper advanced race
Yeah.
that are beyond us in
Yeah.
every way.
And visited Earth many times in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah,
So you don't like that, judging by the furrowing of brow.
it's just a bit silly. To me. But look, it comes back and it does some interesting things, right? So, if you take a look at Thor the movie, the original movie with Chris Hemsworth, and
Is that your Chris Hemsworth
yeah,
voice?
I need more time. Give me time.
Hold on, anyone can do Chris. Anyone can do Thor.
Thor,
He's my.
Jane Foster.
Take care how you speak. He may have lost reason, but he is of Asgard.
He is of Asgard and of noble birth.
He killed 83 people, or he's adopted.
He's adopted. Yeah. So, sorry, Chris. If you'd like to come on the podcast and help us out,
There's not enough room. Chris Hemsworth would not fit
he
in
would
this
not
room.
fit in this room.
Sorry,
He would
Chris.
not. Well, I mean, you can take my place for one week.
Yes!
Just so long as we can get a selfie after.
So you're not too pleased with the whole...
No, it's not that. So it gets very confusing. If you take a look at Kirby's original designs for Asgard does look very hyper-technological.
Right.
It's
Like the
not.
movies.
It's not the mythology-based huge wooden halls and swords and shields. It's all very 1960s Kirby technology-based stuff. So you can see where that all comes from and comes in later. But in the original comics, they're gods. They're not technologically advanced or anything. Like, it's magic. That's what they're using. They have a whole host of
They're for realsies gods.
magical foes. But now, in 2013, it's very much mythology based again. But what we find out is that gods are not unique to Earth, and they are not religious beings in the same sense. They're not here to steer the course of humanity or anything like that. They're just a different race. So the Aesir are gods in Norse mythology. You have Hercules as well in the Marvel universe, and he still runs around and does all that. Michael is transfixed by my hand because I gesticulate a lot when I talk, and his cat instincts combined with the red light are driving him insane today. And they're just a different race. And what we find out in God of Thunder is that
So they are aliens.
Yeah, but every cosmos has their own brand of gods, so it's just a race.
Okay.
So I guess this is the start of the alien issue. Okay, now in 2016's run, this is reinforced tenfold.
Go on.
And if you don't know, and if you're a sexist, you need to sit down for this part because it's going to sting a little bit.
If you're a sexist.
So Thor
Yeah.
is a woman.
A lady.
A lady.
A lady.
And to be very clear, to quote the editor at the time, this is not she Thor.
Lady Thor.
This is not Lady Thor. This is not Thorita.
Thorette.
Thorette, I think, was another one. This is Thor.
Thorina.
Jane Foster has taken over the mantle of Thor because in previous events, is it Fear itself that causes the event? Or I think it might be the end run of God of Thunder.
No.
By Jason Aaron.
It's the thing about the eyeball guy.
Fear itself.
Was it?
Is it the Fear itself? Right?
No, Fear Itself. Fear Itself was when his uncle came back, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The one about the secrets.
Fear itself.
Is that Fear
That's
Itself?
Fear itself, yeah.
Secrets?
So there was a run. Anyway, Nick Fury whispers something in his ear.
Black Nick Fury or White Nick Fury?
White Nick Fury. White Nick Fury. White Nick Fury's last hurrah. I think they removed him from the Earth 616 canon after that and replaced him with Samuel Jackson Fury.
His son.
His son, yeah, I don't know how that works. God damn it, Marvel. So anyway, suddenly Thor became unworthy of wielding the hammer of Thor, Mjolnir. In the comics, by the way, a big difference between the comics and the original mythology is the reason that Thor can lift his hammer in the original mythology is because he's strong enough to lift the hammer. Anyone who is strong enough to lift the hammer can wield Mjolnir in the original
But that's
mythology.
key.
Yeah, but in the superhero version of Thor from Marvel Comics, only those who are worthy of the mantle Thor may lift the hammer. Okay, there's a whole joke in it in Avengers 2 where they all sit around the table and try to figure out.
Whoever shall be worthy, blah blah blah.
And Robert Downey Jr. is like, it's magnets. I can do this. And he tries to figure it out. He uses his gauntlets. The Vision steps. Oh no, the Vision doesn't step up. He steps up at the end. Is statute of limitations out on that?
Oh, big time.
Fair enough. Captain America stands up and Thor has a little, maybe Captain could do it.
I have a whole theory about that. Do you want to hear my theory about that? Sure. Totally unplanned. So when Cap tries to move it moves an inch, right? Well, it kind of goes,
yeah,
and Thor goes, oh, fudge. Oh, yeah. Swimmer's beard.
Yeah.
So here's my theory, right?
Yeah.
Steve Rogers is worthy of lifting the hammer, but doing it in a showing off contest made him not worthy.
He's diminished simply by the fact that he took part in an egotistical contest.
So if he needed to lift the hammer in an emergency, he definitely could.
An Avengers pissing contest.
Yeah, so that's why he wasn't worthy.
I like
he's still almost worthy.
I would love to see that.
Right, makes sense though, doesn't it? That's a good theory. Thanks.
I like it. Pretty solid. And then, at the end of the movie, Vision picks up the hammer, no bother.
But we don't know if that's because he's worthy or because he's not a person.
I think it's because he's worthy.
Is it?
I don't know how Mjolnir
He's
decides.
a machine, put it in a lift, lift still goes up.
I don't know how Mjolnir decides.
Well, that's
so, anyway, suddenly we are catapulted from our mythology-based thing to Asgardians taking their place on the council of aliens that pop up every so you've got the Kree, you've got Skrulls, you've got Asgardians now are definitely part of that.
Shi'ar.
The Shi'ar.
Spartax
is from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's his. Yeah. That's
Jason.
Oh my God.
Star-Lord's dad.
All my words are failing me.
This episode.
Peter Quill. Peter Quill is actually of Spartax.
This episode is brought to you sponsored both by mispronouncing Norse names and mild heat stroke.
Yeah. There's actually just sweat drip. I just touched the back of my head and it's just soaked. Oh God, it's nasty. So yeah, this whole run is and then they're very much aliens. Is how that ends. If you read the Unworthy Thor, which is a side mini-series about how Thor tries to get his right to the hammer back, he's captured by the Collector, who is a huge entity in the Marvel Cosmic Universe,
and Thor Ragnarok.
No,
that's not the.
It's not the Collector.
It is the Collector, isn't it?
No, he's the other one.
The Games Master, the Games Champion,
Challenger.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum is playing him, but I think he's called. Is he the Challenger or the? He's not the Collector. There's two of them. They're like brothers, and they fight a lot and have contests. But he's one of the cosmic beings of the Marvel Universe. And that really throws them into this modern canon where everybody is not mythological, but rather just aliens that we don't understand. So that's how we came across that one. So they're currently in Earth 616,
aliens. So Ben, I've done you a service.
Have you?
Since we're talking about different versions and different versions and interpretations of Thor, I've done you an incredible service, and I've wasted my own time by watching 1998's The Incredible Hulk Returns.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So
that you had to do that.
To be fair,
are you
right?
Okay?
I'm fine. To be fair, I sat down to watch it thinking this is going to be appalling, and it's actually pretty.
No.
It's actually
no.
It's fine. Is it better than 2017 Saban's Power Rangers? Probably not.
Really?
No, probably not. But it's fine. So remember, it's a TV movie.
Doesn't pass the scale then.
Apparently the highest rated TV movie of all time up to that point. Like the Hulk TV show had been off the air for a few years, and this was its comeback. And so I'm just going to. I have a slideshow. I have a little slideshow for you. So we you know the story of the Hulk. Everyone knows the Hulk. We're not getting into the Hulk. So the Hulk is trying to cure himself, and as he's about to turn on the machine to cure himself, he's interrupted by a man he used to know, a Dr. Donald Blake. And Dr. Donald Blake seems in this version to be a bit of a cad, a bit of a scoundrel, a bit of a bounder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's when I knew you, this is my banner voice, when I knew you, you were always up to no good. What trouble have you got yourself into now?
Classic.
So
80s banter?
1988.
1988.
So Donald Blake tells him that, you know how I've always been interested in Viking culture, eh?
Oh,
You know,
a sly right nod.
so I joined a group of amateur archaeologists, and we went to the wild north.
The wild.
Yeah, the wild north with the amateur archaeologists, aka grave robbers. But anyway, so he goes to the Norse. Well, he kind of goes to the north. They use stock footage of tents. I've prepared a little slideshow for you.
Please, have at.
So here he is. This will be in the video version. By the way, if you're not watching the video version, it's probably worth rolling your eyeballs over it every now and then.
It's quite helpful because we do go off in tangents, and it helps to have visual representation. Visual is how we say it around here, but I'm going to say visual because it's funnier. So we do ramble quite a bit.
That's going to pop up in a minute. But anyway, he's sporting one of the best stunt beards you've ever seen. It's just bits of beard glued onto this guy's face. So anyway, he finds a tomb. Okay, look at that stunt beard.
Wow.
So he finds this tomb, and he's compelled to enter the tomb by a mysterious force.
And he goes in out of compulsion,
and he sees some runes. And he knows he shouldn't read the Viking runes, but somehow he can read them, even though he shouldn't be able to. And he reads the story of a warrior king called Thor. And this warrior king was condemned never to enter Valhalla for his crime of arrogance. Right? It's not really Thor, is it?
I don't like that.
So he finds the hammer. It's a terrible looking hammer. It's not your classic Mjolnir.
I'd love to see it.
It's real bad.
Is it like when you buy in a hardware store? Like,
I think they might have. They probably made one, but there it is. There, look. Here's Donald.
My God,
it's terrible.
So it's like a mallet.
Yeah, it's just a lump hammer. It's a lump hammer with some etched runes on it. So the strange thing in this movie,
it looks terrible.
The strange thing in this version of Thor is a completely separate guy.
Okay,
and he's summoned by Donald Blake. Donald Blake puts two hands on the hammer and screams, "Odin!" And then Thor appears.
Thank God Mick has done all this work.
So the guy who plays Donald Blake, he's this weird. I don't think he ever did anything really particularly famous. He's this weird knockoff James Spader type. It's like, God. I've got the hammer, and when it summons this Thor guy, and that's my James Spader. It's not great. And Bruce Banner says, "Why don't you use this power of summoning this Thor to do something good?" And this is one of the best lines in the entire movie. Knockoff James Spader says, "This is the 80s. I don't even know what a good cause is anymore." Ooh, right?
Ooh, so social commentary coming from the most unlikely of sources.
So Thor in this, he doesn't seem to be a god. He seems to be just a Viking, a Viking warrior. A Viking warrior. He has a magic hammer, but the hammer does appear to be limited to just lightning.
Okay.
He can throw it, but it doesn't return to him. So it's one. I picked this little picture here because it's probably the saddest scene in the whole movie. Donald Blake has just summoned him by going, "Odin!" And then Thor appears in his furs.
He looks ridiculous.
Well, he probably looks less ridiculous than
the red cape
Thor. Okay, what I'm wearing now. So,
Mick hasn't taken his costume off, by the way.
No.
If you check out the Instagram,
yeah, or the Facebook page.
I've had enough of your antics. I can't. God.
Ben took a great number of hammers to the face today for the sake of the podcast.
I just like you guys a lot, and I want you to like me too. So just give it a like.
So anyway, after he shouts "Odin" and summons Thor, he very offhandedly has to hand the hammer to him. And Thor kind of stands there, one hand on his hip, like, "Come on, give me the hammer,
give me the hammer."
Oh, it's just.
So wait, Donald Blake doesn't even transfer. He just summons.
He just summons him, and he has. Thor has been cursed by Odin that he has to do heroic deeds. And Odin before he'll be allowed to enter Valhalla. And Odin,
like Hercules.
Yeah, in a sense. So Odin has like given the responsibility of making him do heroic things to to Donald Blake. Thing about this movie is this was a backdoor pilot.
Oh, they were hoping to.
That's not someone who flies airplanes and likes anal sex. That's when they do a TV show that they hope will become a pilot for another TV show.
Like Supernatural's ill-fated spin-off in New Orleans.
Did they do that? I never saw that
Supernatural had... Okay, so I have recently been watching Supernatural due to the episode with the gods in it. And a very quick segue just to wish it along. Originally, shifters, vampires, and werewolves are all quite ugly creatures in the thing. And due to the success of the Vampire Diaries, they tried to make into a sexy version of Supernatural. And there was a large group of hunters, and there were 5 warring families in New Orleans. And the 5 warring families were shifters, vampires, werewolves, and I can't remember the other 2. There's 2 other strange creatures, probably a Wendigo. Something like
Wendigo?
Ghouls, yeah, probably. But they lost all the bad things about shifters. So, you know the way shifters have to rip their skin off and they leave the piles of gooey
Not anymore.
flesh? They didn't have to do it in this. These shifters were, I think it was 6th generation shifters, so they lost the... It was absolute... So this was a backdoor pilot, as it turned out, because I remember watching it and being like, this does not fit with the tone of this is very slick and sexy and...
Not supernatural.
Not supernaturally at all.
So, Thor arrives.
Backdoor pilots.
And Thor and Donald Blake end up having an argument over the hammer, both kind of pulling it, and accidentally knock Bruce Banner into a high voltage electricity station and trigger the Hulk, and they have their fight. And that's the great thing about this movie, because we have Ragnarok coming out in November.
We do.
But this movie is the first...
Is it November? Is it that far?
Yeah, it's pretty far away. This is the first kind of Hulk and Thor movie where they're
This is
together.
the original. This is
the
Hulk
original
and Thor round
Hulk and
1.
Thor movie. I mean, look at the rig out this guy is wearing.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And one of the best things, you have to watch this movie and just watch the Hulk running. Lou Ferrigno has the funniest run.
Oh, really?
He kicks his heels up. It's
God.
absolutely hilarious. But
how did you sit through this?
no, it's pretty. The best thing about it is the guy who plays Thor. He actually plays a Thor very similarly to Hemsworth's Thor.
Oh,
He's a little bit confused by the modern world, but he likes drinking and fighting. And
Thor.
There's even a scene where he comes out of the shower topless. And
is
the
he looking
female
good?
characters, well, he looks 80s good.
80's good.
Like
Okay.
he looks like me.
Okay.
Which
So
in the 80s,
bigger than the average 80s man.
yeah, in the 80s that was very impressive.
It was acceptable in the 80s.
But it's incredible. He's actually pretty good. He does a good Thor. I think there might be some influence of this Thor in Hemsworth Thor.
No.
I do think there might be.
No.
The whole thing's on Dailymotion, so you can
Okay.
you can watch it if you want. We'll throw a link. We'll throw a link down in the description.
Your summary.
So after watching this, there's some amazing moments. There's this great scene where they're both trying to stop Bruce Banner's girlfriend from being abducted.
Oh wow!
Look at them standing there.
Oh wow!
Like a pair of idiots.
You should not freeze frame 80s TV movies.
She gets kidnapped by guys in a helicopter, and Hulk grabs one of the landing struts. Is that what they're called on a
The
helicopter?
landing equipment.
Yeah, and Thor grabs the other one, and they both try and pull the helicopter down, but they fail, and the helicopter takes off with
But
Hulk
he's
and
the Hulk.
Thor. But they're both dangling out of
That's not
it.
how that works.
They both fall off.
Oh,
And they
God.
both kind of go "Rrrr," and shake their fists at the
Is
helicopter.
that what I'm looking at there?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
incredible, isn't it? It's one of the saddest moments I've ever seen for both the Hulk and Thor. But yeah, good movie. Very entertaining. As we were talking about last week, I went onto IMDb to do a bit of research on the movie afterwards.
Naturally.
And there's some great stuff there. Because IMDb is an old website.
It is.
So the movie has one review. It's from user Mac3175.
Okay.
And the review is in 2002.
Nice.
And
Oh, that's a long time.
so he talks about the movie, and he says, why don't they do another team-up? Like, one day, they could do a live-action Spider-Man teaming up with the X-Men. Little did he know. Well, that never happened.
Yeah,
But
but
Mac3175, if you're listening, you tell us how the last 15 years have felt for you, because it must have been amazing. He sums up the review with, it's a Marvel classic.
if it ain't got Marvel, it ain't worth squatting.
Oh, it's great. So, the other Thor.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about. Because as we were saying, are they aliens? Are they ancient aliens, or are they?
What's the deal? What is
are
the
they
deal?
aliens or are they gods? So another favorite TV show of mine is Stargate.
Stargate,
Stargate SG-1.
Stargate
And
SG-1.
as you know, Stargate. Have you seen Stargate?
I have, unfortunately.
Shut up, Ben. That's mean.
He has, actually. I'm just after taking a quick peek around the room of figurines.
Action figures. That's
There's
Stargate
some,
up there.
Yeah, there's some Stargate figurines. Not
Stop saying figurines. I will leap across this table and smite you.
Yeah, with your fucking hammer.
You
haven't done it already today.
So, there's a very good episode of Stargate. So in Stargate, the Egyptian gods were actually aliens. They were alien parasites living inside people.
We've done this. Like this kind of thing has been
Yeah.
confusing before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, they were for definite alien parasites that lived inside of people and masqueraded as gods. They knew they were liars. It wasn't humanity was interpreting them as gods.
Okay.
So anyway, the humans end up trying to fight these aliens and trying to beat them off, trying to get rid of them.
Just trying to get.
So Daniel Jackson, the resident kind of mythology expert,
Nerdy.
the SG-1's Ben. No, that's a compliment.
I feel about
Don't look so upset. It's a compliment.
No.
He gets
crestfallen.
no. He dies like 6 times and comes back and he becomes a higher being. And
Why would I want to be that?
in real life, he's married to Lexa Doig.
Who is?
Oh, it's a
Sorry.
whole other podcast.
Oh man.
Lexa Doig is probably the most important science fiction actress in my teenage years.
Is she the young one from Star Trek, the Borg?
No.
Sorry.
Jerry Ryan.
Sorry.
Never mind. She's from Andromeda.
Never
Oh
saw
God, no
Andromeda.
culture over here. No culture. Anyway, Daniel
mythology.
Jackson. Well, that's why I'm talking about this. Daniel Jackson realizes that in the history of gods visiting Earth, and now we know that gods are real, he realizes that there are 2 types of gods. There are tyrants and there are culture bearers.
Oh, so we have classifications for gods.
Right.
Okay.
And he realizes that the tyrants, like the Egyptian gods, turn out to be evil aliens. So he postulates that maybe the culture bearers might be other aliens who might be nice and might help us to fight.
Yay!
Exactly, right?
Humans,
So he
culture bearers, working together.
Fighting the aliens. Those real bad... never mind. So he shows a little slideshow, and one of the symbols in the slideshow is Mjolnir, Thor's hammer.
Ah.
All right? And Teal'c, who used to work for the evil aliens...
Yeah,
says
can you explain that to me? How does that work?
he has... The evil aliens are snake symbiotes.
The little worm things.
They're snakes. They're more like snakes than worms.
Okay, sorry.
And they go inside your brain, and they take over.
Okay.
But in their larval stage, they have to be held in a human's intestinal area.
Mummification kind of throwback.
No, well, yeah, kind of, but like you're perfectly fine when it's in your intestine. In fact, you're stronger and faster, and
because it needs to protect the host.
exactly, and you're immune to most diseases and stuff. And they're their soldiers. But until the Goa'uld inside matures, and then when it's removed, you either die or you get a new one.
Oh,
So Teal'c defected anyway.
but
He's still he has
So
one
he's
of-
still it's still
he has one of
gestating.
the bad aliens gestating
Okay.
inside of him, and later on it comes out and there's a whole thing, but that doesn't matter.
Oh, there's a whole
So he
arc.
says, I recognize this hammer indeed, and there's a symbol of this connected with a planet that we must not go to. Our Goa'uld masters told us never to approach this planet, so they say, ooh, let's go there.
That could be the one that'll give us a dig out.
So they go there and they get zapped by a teleporter. And this teleporter sends them to a cave, and in the cave they meet this guy.
That looks very like Thor.
It is Thor!
Ah,
Right? It's classic Viking mythology Thor.
Big old Viking helmet.
And he's all like, thou must passeth mine challenge before I will permit the entry to mine vault, or some
Sorry,
shit like
lads,
that.
not tonight. Or anything.
Yeah. Later on they realise that's actually a hologram. It's not the real Thor.
No.
And they don't actually meet the real Thor.
Oh.
But they escape anyway, and they escape away, and they realise these guys hate the Goa'uld, the Egyptian gods, as much as we do.
Oh, okay.
So later on, there's another episode where they're trying to track down Thor, and at the end of the episode, after passing through all of his trials and challenges and trying to interact with this hologram, and no, it's just a hologram again. He reveals his true form. And his true form is this little guy.
No!
The grey aliens!
It's Area 51 grey aliens!
So the Area 51 grey aliens were the Asgard. His race is called the Asgard.
No.
And he's Commander Thor.
Thor of the Asgard.
Supreme Commander Thor
Okay,
of the
yeah.
Asgard. So he's responsible.
Good for
He's
him.
the chief of the Asgard military.
Oh.
So a kind of protector of the gods.
Not unlike...
See what I'm saying?
Nice little
See what I'm
parallels
saying?
there.
So it's a very
Completely different version. Wow.
Completely different.
Yeah.
But still Thor.
Still Thor.
I mean, he has Thor's hammer. Thor's hammer turns out to be...
We can have an alien Thor, just like superhero Thor, just like alien superhero Thor.
So Thor's hammer turns out to be like a device for scanning people to see if they're infected by this alien.
Oh.
And it can kill them if they are.
Nice.
Yeah. And he has a mothership, and he actually becomes a very common recurring character
way.
in the show. I think he's voiced by the same actor as Daniel Jackson.
Oh,
So he has-
who's he? Dean...
No, not Richard Dean Anderson. Not
that's
Colonel
MacGyver.
O'Neill.
Yeah, he's MacGyver.
I've actually forgotten the actor who plays Daniel Jackson's real name. Believe
Because
it
he
or not.
popped up in other stuff.
Oh yeah, he was in Andromeda. That's where he met his future wife, Lexa
Burn
Doig.
Notice.
Was he in Burn Notice?
See, Burn Notice, he's the guy that originally goes around trying to foil Michael.
Michael Shanks is his name.
Is that his name?
Yeah,
Michael Shanks.
that's another nice coincidence.
There you go. There you go.
So they're two Thors for you.
Huh. Weird. It's
Yeah.
they've affected so much culture. That's the other interesting thing about Norse mythology, though. It's completely widespread in the same way that Greek, I would say almost at this point more widespread than Roman and Greek.
Well, we don't have Mercury's Day, do we?
No, we don't.
We don't have.
Didn't stick.
Yeah, take that,
Didn't stick.
Romans and Greeks.
Yeah. Weird.
Ben,
Michael.
give us some recommendations.
So, in preparation for this week, I did quite a lot of reading. Painful, long reading. But some of it wasn't so painful, and that was down to I picked up Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythologies book. He has recently published a retelling of Norse myths where he takes the Edda and he starts combining tales into longer narratives, and they work very well. So, my recommendation for the week is Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythologies. It's out now from Bloomsbury.
All good booksellers.
All good booksellers. And the other recommendation that I would really, really 100% give is Volume 1 of God of Thunder by Jason Aaron. Because it's just a really nice introduction to Thor. You get to see 3 versions of Thor, duke it out, you get to understand everything about the character. Some nice mythological references in there. Some nice religious questioning, all that kind of thing. So give her a whirl. There's also something called the God Bomb. I'm not going to spoil that for you. Go read it. Anyway, Michael, any recommendations?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah,
film either.
don't watch that movie. I